Disappointed. I know it looks like there's a whole band that's going to be here, but this is one guy who plays all of these things. Otherwise, we have Lowell Mick White, Christine Granados, and Missy Roback. So Christine rushed all the way up here from San Antonio and just made it in time. So we're going to start with Lowell to let Christine breathe a little bit before she gets up here. Lowell Mick White's the author of 4 books, novels That Demon Life and Professed, and the story collections Long Time Ago Good and The Messes We Make of Our Lives. A winner of the Dobie-Paisano Fellowship. Yes. Yes. And the not the founder, but the current director of that fellowship is here tonight, Michael Adams, our hero. And Lowell Mick White is also a member of TIL, or better known as Texas Institute of Letters, and he teaches as an assistant professor at Texas A&M University. Where?
College Station.
College Station? You came here from College Station? All right. We're glad you're here. Lowell Mick White.
Oh, hello. Hello. First, got to take a picture. Hey, Facebook, yay. Or Twitter. How many people on Twitter? Tweet. 1 or 2? Okay, you should tweet right now that you're here. Say thank you to Malvern Books for having this wonderful event. And I certainly thank Malvern for doing this. It's, what a great institution this is. I really love this story. I want to thank Christine. Where are you, Christine? Right here, in the back. And Allison both blurbed my first novel. So that's kind of a cool connection you guys have. I don't know if you were aware of that. I thank you for that. And thank you for everybody who came out. This is the new book. This sort of began, I was teaching an advanced fiction class, and I was trying to get the young scholars to work on revision. And one of the things that y'all who teach know, students don't like doing revision. There's just always resistance to it. And so I took out one of my older stories, and I just used that as a model for how to fix things. And so the story it's called Deep Eddy, and it was one of the first serious stories I wrote. It got published like in '98 or something like that. Right about the time I was at Paisano. And, in some little journal, and then it disappeared and forgot forever, which was a good thing because it wasn't very good. And so I'm teaching this class, so I pulled it out and I just went through it and I changed everything around it. I changed from third person to first person, and that changed the whole emphasis of the story, and then I really changed the ending, and I really liked what I got out of it. And so I took some other old stories and did radical surgery on them, and I wrote 2 or 3 new ones, and it's a book, and it's all about people who have problems and mess things up in their lives. So we're going to do Deep Eddy. In the morning it was raining, and we ended up stuck behind a caravan of senior citizens, all in big recreational vehicles, all from Washington State, all headed south in the rain. I whipped on down the road, sliding in and out between the campers, and every time I passed someone, I could feel Amanda tense up beside me on the seat. She was afraid of the big mining trucks that were headed north. Every time I pulled out the pass, she tapped the floor of the pickup with her right foot, searching for a brake pedal. I did my best to ignore her and drive, and so I drove, and I counted the RVs, 64 of them in all, I think, and I knew they all must be together because of the big red decals that each vehicle had on its rear. I drove on south, the windshield wipers thudded, and Amanda tapped the floor. Neither of us said anything. Once we got past Whitehorse, the rain stopped, the traffic seemed to let up, and Amanda was able to relax a little and fall asleep. But how can you truly tell when someone's actually desperate? I didn't see anything then. I didn't notice anything. And if I had noticed something, would I have cared? Amanda woke up sometime later when I pulled off the road and a small cloud of white dust blew up around us. When it cleared, I could make out an overflowing red litter barrel and a tarnished length of guardrail, and below that, the valley. A range of mountains on the other side of the valley, shaded by clouds. A motorhome and a mining truck went by, heading west and north, blowing in more dust. Everything seemed drier here. There were still some muddy puddles in the gravel. Amanda frowned, still half asleep. Over there yet? She asked. Those are the Cassiers over there, I think, pointing at the mountains. And that's, I guess, the Rancheria River. Amanda looked away at the mountains. She asked, how much further to Fort St. John? We'd stayed at a motel in Fort St. John on the way up to Alaska. Hot showers, clean sheets, firm mattresses, cable TV, wireless cell phone reception, air conditioning. I don't know, I said, maybe 900 miles. We might make it by tomorrow if we push it. Excuse me. Amanda rested her head against the window of the truck. The weak sunlight cast a shadow across her face. She said, let's push it. I waited a moment. You're not getting out? No. Amanda sounded serious. No, Will. I was tired of her complaining. But I tried not to let it show. To hell with her, I thought. I shrugged and opened the truck door. I collected 5 bottles, 3 Labatts, and 2 Cokes, and a wad of paper from under the seat, and I carried it all to the trash barrel and jammed it all in. The turnout was at a bend in the road at the top of a bluff. Below, beyond the guardrail and down a steep slope, the rancheria twisted through a wide, marshy valley and disappeared off to the northwest. Cloud shadows scudded over the valley. The Cassiers were a light gray. They're cold looking. Between the turnout and the mountains, a single cloud was dropping rain, dark gray streaks that settled into the haze. A car with its headlight on went by, blowing dust, heading northwest to Whitehorse, had Yukon plates. I walked back to the truck and leaned in. I said, I have to pee. Amanda sighed. She didn't even open her eyes. She said, that's fine. The slope of the bluff was steep and somewhat slippery. It was damp but not muddy, and was covered with hard, pale gravels that rolled out from under my feet. I rested against a burned-out stump and caught my breath before sliding the rest of the way down the slope. At the bottom, there was a fire ring made of gathered wild stones. Ashes, some beer bottles, and a half-burned throwaway diaper were in the ring. Logs had been rolled up close for seats. A path led down to the river. Up on the bluff, a big truck of some sort headed south on the highway, and the dust swirled in a cloud and drifted down. In the silence that followed the truck, I heard the river. I buttoned my jeans and followed the path, scrambling over a deadfall and splashing across a little creek coming from the north. The creek disappeared into a thicket, but further ahead I caught a glimpse of open water. I climbed over another deadfall, ducked under some alders, and came out on the banks of the river. The rancheria came out of the southeast, headed toward the bluff, and then turned suddenly to the west. It flowed past my feet and turned on to the south, dropped into a riffle, and disappeared behind some brush. At the base of the bluff, where it turned, there was a log jam and an eddy. The creek seemed to come in there. The water below was shallow and clear, sandy bottom. 2 smallish grayling cruised in the base of the pool. It was really pretty water. I thought, look at those wild fish. Those grayling had never seen a fly. I'm the first man ever to see it. I discovered this spot. Those fish are mine. When I got back to the truck, Amanda was counting the RVs. She had my clipboard and was making a mark every time one passed. I got a beer out of the cooler and walked around to the driver's side and got in. Amanda said, you must have had to go pretty bad. Yeah, I was looking at the river, I said. I twisted the top off a bottle and took a long drink. My jeans were wet from the knee down. There was a scratch on my face, but I didn't care. I said, I saw this huge grayling. I want to see if I can catch it. Amanda said, those old people from Seattle just passed us. She tilted the clipboard so I could see it. There were a lot of marks. Most of them, she said, maybe all of them. They blew dust on me. We'll pass them again, I said. They drive slow. Yeah, she said, and they'll slow us down. Well, I'll go catch that fish and let him get way ahead of us, I said. I tried to smile, but she stared at me. Look at this, Amanda said. She held the clipboard up with all the marks and slashes on it. Okay. So there were a lot of RVs on the road. I could see that. So Amanda could count. So what? I'll just be a minute, I said. Oh, come on, Amanda said. You've caught enough fish already, okay? I looked away and began digging through the pile of maps on the seat between us. Amanda said, okay? No, I said. I found our battered copy of the Yukon guidebook and started thumbing through it. I looked up. No, really, this grayling is enormous. First I saw 2 little ones, and then I saw the big one. He's never seen a fly before. Nobody's seen him before. It's like a whole new world down there. Sure, Amanda said, right off the road. Yeah, I said. I thought of the fire ring and the dirty diaper. Right, there were people here somewhere. People came here, passed by here, stopped here, littered here. But there wasn't anyone here now except me. So this was my spot. It was mine. I discovered it. I was an explorer. I said, isn't that great? Amanda turned away from me and looked out the window. 2 more clouds were dumping rain somewhere near the mountains. I found our place in the guidebook and started to read DC 663.4. Hey, I was wrong. We're only about 600 miles from Fort St. John. 663 from Dawson Creek. Amanda still didn't look at me. She said, well, let's get going. No, wait, I said. I began reading again. DC 667. Shit, she said, 4 more miles already? No, DC 667, litter barrel with view of the Rancheria River to south. That's where we are. We have a GPS, Amanda said. We already know where we are, so let's go, okay? No, wait, I said. Rancheria River, fair to good fishing for bull trout and grayling. Well, I guess the grayling are there at least. I looked up. You should see this grayling. It was really huge. Amanda said, there's no such thing as a huge grayling. It's bigger than any of the ones we saw in Alaska, I said. It's over 18 inches easy. Amanda shifted her seat, turned to face me. She reached for my beer, took a seat, said, and made a face. It was warm. We were out of ice. John, she said slowly, choosing her words carefully, I'm really tired. I'm even tired of looking at trees, you know? Everything looks the same. We've driven something like 8,000 miles in the last, no, I said, come on, really, it's more like about 6,000 miles. Okay, so it's 6,000 miles. I don't really care. I just want to get to wherever it is we're going today, and I want that to be a little closer to home than where we are now. I mean, I guess, I don't know, she sighed, very dramatic. She said, fuck. I looked over at her and tried smiling again. I guess I was a phony because I didn't care. I just smiled. I just showed her my teeth. I was a phony. I even took her hand and squeezed it. And I said, this is what I want to do. It'll just be a few minutes. That fish has never seen a fly before. Amanda pulled her hand away. You don't even keep the damn things. Catch and release, I said, all the way. I got out of the truck, shut the door, and leaned in the window. You want to go out and watch me? No! You sure? Yes, I'm damn well sure. I took a step back. So she was pissed. So what? I had a right to do what I wanted to do too. I stepped around to the back of the truck and looked at her through the layers of glass, and I thought of the trip out to prairies, plains, grasses, bridges, rivers, badlands, rivers, mountains, rivers, trees, bridges, trucks, mountains, glaciers, more trees, more rivers, good roads, bad roads, old people in RVs, 10 days from Austin to Anchorage, 2 weeks in Alaska, and now we were still at least a week away from home. She was tired. Of course she was tired, but she was pissed off too. But being tired and pissed off wasn't going to get us home anytime sooner. I had a right to do what I wanted to do. Right now I wanted to go fishing. Went back around to the window and I said, we'll get there fine. You know, Amanda said, it would have been a whole lot easier if you just left me back in Whitehorse. Then I could have caught a flight home, you could dick around in the woods and play fucking Lewis and Clark all you want. Come on, I said. But I thought, to hell with her. So she was tired, so she was pissed. I said, it'll just be a few minutes, then we'll come back and I'll drive like hell, we'll pass the old people, we'll make it fine. Amanda said, I don't think so. I didn't say anything else. There wasn't anything to say, really. I walked around to the back of the truck again. I looked back at her and I saw her take another sip of warm beer and I saw her twist the rearview mirror around to watch me. After that, I ignored her. I dug around in my fishing gear. I pulled out a rod, a fly box, some gadgets. When I looked up again, I saw Amanda pour the rest of the beer out the window. When I got in place, the river came straight at me and back into the east. I was a little off to the side of the eddy where a small current circled around and around out of the main river, burbling up against the bank, along a little sandbar the creek had deposited under the log jam, and back out into the main current of the river. It was pretty water, clear and cold, and reflected the sky, the trees, me. The water seemed pretty deep. I tried looking down through the reflective surface, and even with polarized glasses, I could only see deep greenish shadows. This is part of the place where the fish in this section of the river spent the winters, fitting around under the ice and snow, holding in the dark, waiting for spring and breakup. And then I saw the big grayling float up out of the green. I watched it get bigger and bigger, watched it suck down a bug, a grayish-tan caddisfly of some sort. The fish made a little slurping noise and settled back a foot or so into the water. 2 other smaller grayling appeared and hovered off to this left. They could all stay in this eddy as long as they wanted, and the river would always swirl food right up to them. And I thought, this is why I came on this trip in the first place, to see this river, to see this, the river, the mountains, the everything. I thought, this is the way life is supposed to be, always. This place, this water, this fish, everything is new. Yeah, I stared at watching those fish for a long time. Then I took a breath. I started holding my fly rod with a little fly caught on Adam's egg. bushy and gray, tied at the end of the leader. I stepped to the side to put more of the brush between me and the fish. There wasn't much room to cast, but I did need to cast far. I worked out a little line and slopped it into the eddy. The leader straightened out just enough. The fly dropped softly onto the water. It was nice. Grayling looked up. They like to eat insects off the surface. It's good. That atom sort of looked like a caddisfly. It was all good. I held my breath. And then it was very easy. The eddy brought the fly to the big grayling and spotted it, rose, finned back for a second, looked at it, and then set it down. I set the hook. The shot grayling jumped, bored out into the main river, quickly jumped twice more, and then again, and then tried to go deep. I was using a heavy leader though, and I pressured the fish, keeping him near the surface of the eddy. There was one more jump, and it was just very easy. I knelt over the panicked fish and picked it up. Sleek, iridescent, gleaming in the sunlight, green and bronze, heavy and fat. It gasped the air, trying to breathe. The big dorsal fin was swept down, but I ran my finger along it and pulled it back up. It was a big fin. I measured the fish against my rod, and it covered the writing on the handle right up to where it said 5 weight. So that was at least 18 inches, 17 maybe if I was telling the truth, 20 inches if I felt like lying. I tried to work fast. I took out my cell phone and took a picture of the fish. Then I removed the fly and got the grayling back in the water. I held it by its tail, and in a minute or so, the fish wriggled and I let go. It shot back into the shadows and went deep. I stood looking at the water, and it was then that I realized that back up on the bluff, Amanda was leading on the truck horn. And I guess I just missed her. I climbed up the bluff, breathless, and I got to the guardrail at the turnout, and she was gone. My truck was gone. There was a battered Chevy pickup with Yukon plates parked there, and an old fat guy with a big head of white hair and a gut spilling out between suspenders standing next to the truck. And there was the overflowing trash barrel and some muddy puddles in the gravel with some of my stuff scattered around. But Amanda was gone, and my truck was gone. I stood there breathing, or trying to breathe. My fly rod pointed out behind me toward the river. The fat guy said, "I guess you're the boyfriend." Next to one of the puddles, I saw a duffel bag that had held a lot of my fishing gear in the ice chest. Some of my clothes were strewed around too. "She said you were down there fishing," the fat guy said. "She said you were maybe lost. I was thinking about going to look for you." "I wasn't lost," I said. "Yeah, tourists get lost here all the time." "I'm not a tourist," I said. "I'm an explorer." "Well," the fat Canadian looked at me and thought about that. Finally, he said, "That gal was really mad." I said, "Yeah?" I pulled out my cell phone to call Amanda to get her back here. No reception, of course. It was useless. I put it back in my pocket. "What are you fishing for?" the Canadian asked. "Grayling," I said. "Listen, did she say anything?" "No, just that you were fishing and maybe lost, and I could see she was mad." Yeah, so she was mad. Well, yeah. I climbed over the guardrail and looked at my belongings. A big bag of my reels and some fly boxes and a pair of neoprene waders and boots, a pair of jeans and 3 or 4 heavy shirts tossed down on the gravel, one shirt with sleeve trailing in a puddle. I stepped open and opened the ice chest. 4 of the bats, no ice. And Amanda was mad. Okay. I took one of the beers and stepped over and leaned back against the guardrail. I opened the beer. The big Canadian was looking at me. The breeze ruffled his white hair. A pair of RVs headed south close together, and dust rose up from the road. Behind me was the river and the mountains. "Well," the Canadian said, "I guess that gal just ran off and left you." The end.